Why do we even need plants? What is the importance of plants? The statements that you're going to see here, I'm pretty much positive you all already know this, but I just want to remind you of how plants fit into this balance in what we call the biosphere, our sphere of life. How do they assist in keeping our planet balanced? Because that's essentially what they do. One of the first things you need to know is that plants provide us and other animals, of course, with food. They make their own food and they are the food for some of our lower end consumers at the bottom of the food chain. And they also provide food for our upper end consumers, especially our omnivores, all of our animals that consume both plant material and meat material. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is that through our processes of, or their processes of photosynthesis, they will produce the oxygen that we need to breathe. Of course, without that oxygen production, there would not be enough on our planet for all of the animals that need the oxygen to use. Since plants take in carbon dioxide, which is what we breathe out, and some other atmospheric gases, one thing you need to keep in mind is that they're helping to keep the climate balanced, under control, and they help with keeping our air and our atmosphere clean. Plants are some of nature's best filters. They help to filter water in ponds and other wet environments, and they help to remove some toxins from the air. So they're nature's filter. And finally, keep in mind that they also provide habitats for other organisms. We have tons of organisms that rely on trees, bushes, flowers, and other plants as their homes. When you remove some of these plants from an environment, the other organisms that are in that environment suffer for that. And of course, to get down to the last part of this, the very next slide, you're going to see where it's asking us to compare plants and animals. Um, Keep in mind, once again, this is information you probably already know, but I'm just looking to review this with you to make sure that these are the bits and pieces that are in the back of your mind as we go through all these plant systems throughout the week. Remember, too, that in the end, one of our goals is going to be to be able to compare plant system interactions and human body system interactions, because there's a lot of important questions asked to you about how we can compare what plants do to what animals or specifically humans do. So let's take a look first at some pointers about animals. Now, you can absolutely add more than this if there's something else that you think of, and you can always let me know and share that with me. One of the most important things, of course, is animals breathe in oxygen, or O2. That's the exact molecule for that. Plants also consume food. We're heterotrophs. We do not make our own food, we consume it. And of course, plants are part of that consumption. Animals can move freely. Most good majority of animals, and there are a few exceptions. If you think of things like coral reefs and anemone in the oceans, they don't have the ability to move freely. But overall, a good majority of our animals can move freely in their environments. On the other side of things, plants, where we breathe in oxygen, they take in carbon dioxide, which of course is what we breathe out. And that's part of what helps us all balance everything here on Earth. We take in one, they take in the other. On the other side of things, plants also produce their own food. They're considered autotrophs. Um, they cannot eat their own food, so they have to make it on their own using a special organelle called a chloroplast and a special chemical called chlorophyll, which takes in light from the sun. And of course, as you know, plants cannot really move about freely. Plants can move to a degree, but to freely get up and walk somewhere and move to where they could get a better food source or a better light source is not exactly possible. Now, in the middle here, how are these two very similar? Well, of course, we know they're both made up of cells, they're living things. We also know that we each need the other to survive. Plants need animals, and animals need plants. And of course, we both perform cellular respiration. I think a lot of students get confused and think that the only process that plants perform is photosynthesis, but plants also have to perform cellular respiration. Plants stay alive through the entire year, and a lot of plants completely lose their leaves, which that's their way of taking in sunlight. And so, if they didn't perform respiration, they actually wouldn't be able to survive some of the winter months. And finally, of course, we both, animals and plants, need water to live. Water is the main component of both animal and plant cells. If after looking at these sets of slides, you have any questions or anything that you want to add, please go ahead and send me an email and let me know. I am more than willing to add in some additional information or discuss something further.